It is General Greene here out of beautiful Tokyo, Japan. First off, prayers to the southern part of Japan. There was a massive evacuation yesterday, a big typhoon where 4 million plus people were evacuated, and there were some injuries in the southern part of Japan. So please pray for the Japanese people and pray that the storm is now thankfully moved past and it looks like the worst is behind us. But of course, we have 66 days before the US election. 6 folks. 6 days before the US election. And I think we all probably agree that something's amiss. Something doesn't feel right. Spiritually, I was tweeting this yesterday at AMTV Media. I encourage you to follow me in my only official account. I said, look, something's just amiss. Something doesn't feel right. We have been through the equivalent of hell in the United States of America just in recent weeks. And I go down the list. I want to read this to you. I put it on Twitter. I mean, what's happening in the United States of America today? I've gotten this really great perspective, having been internationally traveling, looking and putting active deals to work as a part of islandproject.com all across Asia. But what's been so unique about that, meeting with all of our investors, I've been posting pictures, meeting with investors in Bali and Thailand, Singapore a few days ago, Japan, our Tokyo investors, etc., 12 different nation states. The big takeaway is that you're able to look and reflect to see what's going on in the States outside of the system. And it's given our whole family a real interesting perspective that I'd like to share with you. Number one, Southeast Asia is dominating right now. Absolutely dominating. And kind of the vibe, which is like the new word for 2024, I've noticed. I don't even know how this got inserted into the public lexicon, but I hear everybody saying it, including myself, is, oh man, it's just the vibe, bro. It's just like, yeah, I'm just vibing today. Oh yeah, it's the vibe of this. Like, we're even hearing this in the mainstream. I don't know, it's just a side note. But the perspective that I've gotten is that number one, not only is Asia dominating, it is growing technologically. It is so far past the United States with its blockchain technology. One of the reasons why Island Project, as we launch and tokenize our multi-billion-dollar asset, will be utilizing all of our contacts and resources in places like Singapore when we go live with that event. Because Southeast Asia has actually been innovating. We look at this, for example, Singapore. This is a city-state that is really just 60 years young. And they have pulled off probably the most fabulous, safe state that I've ever been in and experienced. And it's changed dramatically just in about 5 to 6 years. So for those of you that don't know, the prime minister, as I've shared with you, is very unpopular up until his death. And now he's considered one of the best leaders ever to grow a industrial capitalist powerhouse in a financial hub in this part of the world, and then also clean up crime and all these other things that we see populating American cities, for example. We even see this in El Salvador right now with Bukele cleaning out all the gangs, making it completely safe, and arguably safer than parts of the West like Canada. There was a big, I think, Time magazine article that just came out on this. But the takeaways, again, to boil it all down for you, is that it's clear that the United States, it's clear that our culture, it's clear that America is being actively destabilized by outside, foreign, and very evil interests that have infiltrated Washington, D.C., corrupted it, and I believe have attempted and already overthrown it in a lot of respects. And that sounds kind of dramatic, but when we go overseas, as you visit other countries, you'll notice no one envies that you're from America. Not a single person. No one even cares what's going on in the United States. And you also see that the USA is a media circus and has become this idiocracy theater experiment where it's so vitriolic and it's so hateful in the mainstream media. And there's so much panic media and all this stuff going on 24/7 being propagated by the fearmongers of CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC. And none of that is reality. When you go overseas, the propaganda, the news is completely different than what you see in the United States of America. So here's the list that I put together. One, there's total political chaos and fake election pandemonium in the United States. Two, we have our leaders actively attempted to be taken out. We saw what just happened to Trump several weeks ago, and that will continue in the United States. 3, there's massive hyperinflation in the USA. There's no affordable housing. You almost get nothing, arguably, for your taxes anymore. There's crazy healthcare costs, crazy food prices. Quality of life and standard of living has declined dramatically. Real wages are not keeping up with hyperinflation. We have threats of unrealized gains taxations coming from the Democrats, which basically want to just steal your wealth. So even if you're keeping up with hyperinflation in the USA, let's say you buy crypto or something and you bought Bitcoin and it doubles in price. Kamala Harris wants to steal half of those unrealized gains during the hyperinflation. So I want you to think about this. That would be a net zero and or a net negative. Let's say your portfolio doubled, but hyperinflation is 50% over the same period, and then Kamala taxes the unrealized gain because you were a smart investor. You've actually lost all your money. Proving the point that the US government is not just a failed state, it's bankrupt. And there's no turning back from a $35 trillion hideous debt that has been printed by both parties. And it's important to understand this. Trump printed 8 trillion, Biden printed like 6, 7 trillion. The war agenda is the exact same on both parties. And this is not a hit on one particular candidate or the other. But the point is, America is beyond the boiling point, and it is beyond its ability to return to a sound fiscal financial system that actually works. We basically have a bunch of drunken sailors in charge in Washington, D.C. They're bought and paid for by other foreign nation states and enemies to the United States like China, in my opinion. And it's been infiltrated so much, and all the politicians bought off, and all the multinational corporations really dictating policies. People ask me all the time, well, Christopher, who really runs the United States? BlackRock runs the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, multinational corporations own the United States of America. American oligarchs like Mark Zuckerberg, who admitted to mass censorship just a couple of days ago, and election interference in 2020, owns the United States. They're deeply embedded and entrenched with the 3-letter agencies. They're deeply entrenched into the financial system. They are owned by the same politicians that they control through lobbyists, etc. And that's who owns the United States. BlackRock owns almost every stock in the US stock exchange. They're buying all of the real estate and all single-family homes in the United States of America for a reason. I mean, this is why I got into Bitcoin in the early days. It wasn't to become rich, although that happened, and I'm very thankful and blessed for that to occur. And I believe Bitcoin's going to trade $2 to $3 million plus in the near future. And we're going to see Bitcoin as a new gold standard replacement currency to fiat. But the original reason I bought Bitcoin, I was so interested in blockchain. I gave keynote speeches in 2015 in Singapore, for example, which I believe was my first visit at one of their major conventions when Bitcoin was trading under 5,000. And I was meeting with people like Jim Rogers, who was a counterpart to George Soros and the Quantum Fund. George Soros, of course, making all of his money shorting the UK British pound. And I'm not saying I like George Soros, because I don't. But the reason I got into this new technology was, number one, for freedom. It was from understanding the fact that the direction that Americana was going was the wrong direction. Understanding the fact 10 years ago that the deep state had already overthrown Washington. We see this with the constant, countless attacks of Donald Trump, the lawfare, the continued media disruption, the hearsay, the libel, the political theatrics, his very public, I can't say the word, but attempts on his life. That all proves my point. And so we're in a situation now where as an honest, hardworking, good person, someone that fears God, Christians, many of you of different faiths that also tune in, is you have to be seeking alternatives and understanding what the trends are and where all this is going and how you can actually find peace, love, hope, and prosperity for you and your families. And I believe it's with everything that we're working on, with everything that we've been doing in recent years, with our media, with our technology, with our blockchain education, with our Bitcoin education, with all of our courses, now with Island Project, the first asset class in the world to successfully have fractionalized with true 100% equity ownership, real estate of a diversified portfolio that's being tokenized on a multi-billion-dollar blockchain, and I'm going to get to a major report because Trump is now all in crypto. There's been major announcements coming from him and his family, and I think this is amazing because this is going to usher in the biggest era, I believe, in technological renaissance in the field that we're all in, which I always knew was going to happen. Again, usually when I'm, as an entrepreneur, I start out in things, people don't understand it, they overlook it, it seems a little crazy, then it becomes ubiquitous, mass adopted, and it becomes part of everyday life. We've seen this with social media, we've seen this with e-commerce, we see it with Bitcoin now, it's traded on Wall Street, BlackRock owns all of it, and now we're seeing it with real world assets, which are going to be tokenized on blockchains worldwide, which we're the first people in the world to do this, by the way. And so we see all this corruption. We have all this debt in the United States. We have endless wars. We have failed wars and withdrawals in places like Afghanistan. Absolute failures, disgraces to all of our soldiers of the lives that we've lost, those that have served, those that we respect, that have been beaten and battered and stepped on IEDs and left, half of their bodies on the war front. Everyone with PTSD, all of that has been a failure. Afghanistan was a failure. Iraq was a failure. Ukraine is a failure. Russia is winning the war. And again, so when I say that no one envies that I'm an American overseas, I'm honestly speaking truth. I think that the American population live in a bubble. They live in a fake bubble. And because they've never been outside of it, they think they're the best. I believe America is the #1 country in the world. I still believe that. I would fight and die for any day of the week. I'm doing it now with islandproject.com, building new America, finding solutions. Most of my investments are in the United States of America for a reason, because I love our country. But my point is, people have become very myopic, and you're letting the competition kick your ass. And I'm telling you straight up, the rest of the world is kicking your ass, America. And it's an absolute disgrace, and we're taking our country back. And we see this with crumbling cities, the infrastructure that's broken across the United States, open borders with millions of illegals pouring in. This includes foreign nation states that don't like us, that have infiltrated the USA. And I think there's going to be big events coming regarding that. I'm not going to be surprised if thousands of drones driven by AI are launched on Los Angeles and New York City in the worst event since 9/11. That's not going to be a surprise, guys. We're in a technological war, a war with nanobots, a war with artificial intelligence drones that are armed, okay? In a war, just like Top Gun 2 told us, because it's predictive programming, that there's not human pilots anymore pulling off the aerial maneuvers. It's run by joystick video game players in a silo somewhere out of Nevada that are dropping the BOMB. We see this with a lack of culture in the United States. We see it with drug use, anxiety, depression, and the list goes on and on. And I'm not saying that other countries are perfect, because they're not. There's pros and cons. But what I'm pointing out is what we're getting is a law of diminishing returns in the States. For example, healthcare costs have exploded. People can barely afford food in the United States, let alone their healthcare. In other countries, although they're a lot, more socialist in some respects, their people are not worried about paying a $2,000 healthcare bill and barely getting by the next day. The government actually supports them. I also see this with the attitude of the foreign nation states that I visited. I think that this could have to do with their spiritual beliefs. For example, in Bali, it's primarily Hindu. I felt an incredible sense of peace when I was there. I think it has something to do with their belief systems. Everybody is happy no matter where they are on the ladder. When I go back to America, people seem angry. It appears to me that they look down on people that have normal or what they would consider menial jobs. Like, for example, you see people treat servers like crap, like they're a lower life form, or people that have just honest jobs. Maybe you're a trash man or you're a janitor and you're looked down on in the United States. That's not the case in these other countries. Everyone values each other. There's actually a strong culture. I see it in Japan. And it's important to note, with all the history and context of Japan, of course, with the United States during World War II. But I mean, this is a strong culture. This is an amazing culture where they mostly speak their own language, where it's actually more difficult as an American to interact if you don't know Japanese. They prefer to do business with each other, and they are just very strong in maintaining the values of not just their system, but the cultural apparatus that I see being destroyed in the United States. I see the United States and its politics focusing on issues that I frankly don't think matter. For example, when you're spending your time debating whether or not men should be in women's sports, I'm not saying you can't debate that, but that's a non-issue when America's cities are broken. That's a non-issue when there's hyperinflation running through the country. That's a non-issue when we have all these other hosts of problems. And so I think what we're seeing is, capitalism is the best form of financial structure and infrastructure, but these people that are evil within the United States have destroyed it. For example, Mark Zuckerberg admits free speech is gone in the United States. He's been pressured by the three-letter agencies. He says he regrets it. These are his actual words, proving the point that you don't have free speech. So again, my question is, what are you getting in return for your effort, for your taxes, for your labor, and for your culture in the United States? And I believe it's diminishing when it comes to the returns on investment. Call me a little revolutionary, but I actually believe that countries and investment classes should compete for your business. For example, if you're in a bad relationship and the relationship's souring, don't stay in it. If your wife is cheating on you or your husband is beating you, which is kind of like the equivalent of what America is doing to its citizens, don't put up with it. Stand up for yourself. Either revolt, take your country back, or find solutions like we have and build new infrastructure and opportunities for the future that will actually provide Americana freedom and liberty and opportunity, hope and solutions for you and your family. And this brings me to the biggest, I think, part of today's video, which I encourage you to like and share. Trump is promising to make America not just great again, but the U.S. crypto capital of the planet. This is his exact quote and his exact words. And I want you to think, number one, how much islandproject.com and my members will profit from this. But number two, how we've gone full circle from Bitcoin being a scam, according to a lot of people saying things like the governments would ban it, Wall Street would never allow it, politicians would get rid of it, to now Trump giving major speeches in the coming hours promising to deliver and make the United States of America the crypto capital of the planet. And I want this to sink in for a minute, because you've heard me berate you for years now. Every day I come on camera and I tell you two things. Get out of the banks, buy real assets, buy Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain, and now I tell you every single day to get into this. I tell you to get into the number one investment in the world, islandproject.com. I tell you to buy at least 30 units and or more and roll over all your retirement accounts now while you still can. I tell you every single day. And now, this major tidal wave of innovation, profits, leverage, adoption is now rocketing into the United States, and it's the most exciting thing I've ever seen. It's going to take over the entire world, bigger than social media and companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, and the tech era has ever done in the history of the world. So let me read this to you. Donald Trump, who now has half of his political donations and funding coming from crypto millionaires and billionaires such as myself, and many of you tuning in, is now promising to make the United States the U.S. crypto capital of the planet. He wants all mining done there, all tech innovation done there. He wants to breed amazing entrepreneurs and companies like islandproject.com and grow it into a dominating factor where we are the epicenter of not just the greatest country in the world, but the epicenter of the new tech revolution. This is massive. It's honestly the biggest news of the year, quite frankly. So I'll just read it to you. Donald Trump told his 90 million followers yesterday on X alone, millions of people around the world, that he's going to lay out a plan to ensure the United States will be the crypto capital of the planet. He'll be speaking very soon. By Thursday evening, after a rally and a town hall in two battleground states, the Republican presidential nominee had so far punted on his promise to deliver the crypto plan up until now. Earlier on Thursday, the GOP pick pumped up the Trump organization's new crypto platform, which has just been rebranded from the Defiant ones to World Liberty Financial. So this is massive news, and there's a nugget here that I want to read to you that came from one of his sons, which I'm looking for right now if I can find it. I had circled this, but I'm on another computer right now. And I'll just give you basically the summation of what was said until I can find the official quote. But what this new platform is going to do is create an alternative to the financial infrastructure that has been hurting conservatives, Republicans, and Christians through monetary and financial warfare in recent years. But in addition to that, the thing that stood out to me is Donald Trump's sons also tell us in this CNBC article that will also have something to do with tokenizing real world assets and real estate. Let me repeat that. Donald Trump's not only making the United States of America the crypto capital of the world, but their brand new platform that they're launching, along with his team and his sons, God bless them all, will be mainstreaming the tokenization of real world assets such as real estate. Again, I repeat, what's the biggest and best investment that you can make right now? What is the biggest 1000x opportunity in world history today? What is the number one investment, in my humble opinion, in the world here in 2024? It is real world assets. It is real estate tokenized and put on a blockchain. And this is exactly what Donald Trump, his campaign, and his sons are not just leaning into, but helping to mainstream here in the coming days. This is a massive development. This is huge news. And I want you to understand that now that this is going to be popularized, now that it's going to go mainstream and millions of Americans and people around the world are going to be introduced to this, you're going to see a whole tech renaissance explode that you've never seen before. It's why my father and I and our team and all my members, we've been working so hard over the last 2 years since we declared our 1776, because I already knew that this was coming. Again, I always position our membership, our investors, you tuning in, and our subscribers to profit way in advance. I want to say hello to Mr. Jose N. Out of Texas. That's our largest state of member investors in the United States. Has just finished his app and is coming in with his first 30 units. He's a police officer from El Paso. Welcome aboard, sir. It is an honor. I know you spoke with my father earlier this morning. We love Texas. We love you. And I think you make I think we have probably, 2 or 3 police officers in the project right now. For those of you that don't know, we have tons of veterans in our project. We have people in the real estate game in our project, in the investment world. We have freedom fighters that you don't know about on Wall Street, friends of mine that are supporting all of you tuning in that want to see a better world for you and your children. We have single mothers. We have beautiful baby boomers. We have families. We have kids that are, just coming out of college, putting their investments to work. I mean, we have beautiful, amazing minds and people from all over the world that make up our network and our ecosystem. It really is incredible. And I do want to point out, I want to remind you, we'll never contact you on Telegram. We don't even have a Telegram account. We'll never contact you on WhatsApp, and we'll never friend request you. So please be vigilant out there. I do put out, disclaimers very often on this platform, but I just want you to know, if anyone's ever attempting to friend request you, it's not us. If somebody's talking to you on Telegram, it's not us. If somebody's messaging you on WhatsApp, that's not us. We only have 2 official ways that you can ever contact us and do business with my family at islandproject.com. That's our main website. And the only other way is speaking with my father verbally or through text or voicemail at his number, 808-442-2934. That's 808-442-2934. Those are the only ways. Our website, islandproject.com, by filling out an app for 3 to 5 minutes where it says membership. Our portal is called Dealmaker, and that is the only way you can fund. That's the only way you can do business with us. That's the only way that you can talk with us. I even noticed Donald Trump put out a warning on this as well, because they actually established a Telegram channel, but they said just be careful of imposters. You know, he's a public figure. Well, it's the same for us. Be careful of imposters out there. And so I just put it out there because I care about you guys and I don't want you to get scammed. So if you're ever in doubt about who you're talking to, ask for an actual phone call from my dad. He will call you and be like, hey, John Greene here. And make sure you're speaking with the telephone number, 808-442-2934. And, you know, I'll talk to you as well if needed. So I just, I put that out there because I want you guys to be aware of that, because it is the internet. So be careful out there. So this is massive news. This is huge. It proves the point that the number one investment worldwide is not just blockchain Bitcoin, but it's soon to be tokenized real estate. We are the only company in the world, along with our members, to have already successfully acquired and fractionalized a $33.5 million founders round. Now that founders round is being tokenized on public blockchains in the very near future. See our intent to tokenize, read our terms and disclaimers, see if you qualify. I have to say that, not financial advice. But what we're doing with the founders round, just like a stock when it IPOs, and that's kind of an easy way to explain it. It creates a new liquidity event and it's trading with a value. That's what islandproject.com is doing. So we see Trump now announcing that they're going to start getting into similar avenues. They're late. And I want you to understand this. We are a decade, if not longer, ahead of all these major corporations, all these politicians, all these multinationals, BlackRock, Jeff Bezos, who just funded a couple $100 million in a fractional real estate company, for those of you that don't know. The Island Project, islandproject.com, is decades ahead of all of this, and we are going to cash in massively with 1000x profits as a result. Because again, Bitcoin, blockchain, and tokenized real-world assets and real estate has always been a guarantee. What's also beautiful about it is no one can compete with us. No one has our unique ecosystem, our unique ethos, our unique platform, ownership of diversified assets across multiple states, not just in the United States, but soon to be international diversification. So another great way to participate in everything that we're doing and to provide yourself with international exposure into parts of the world that are doing things extremely well right now is by buying your first 30 units of islandproject.com. If you want to become a proud owner of Bali Beachfront, buy islandproject.com. If you want to own Thailand mega estates on the ocean, which has huge upside potential and capital gains and income, buy islandproject.com. If you want to own the trophy assets like Park City, Utah, and Deer Valley, buy islandproject.com. If you want to own beachfront in Kaanapali, in Kapalua Bay, Maui, and Waikiki, and go surfing, buy islandproject.com. If you want to get ahead into the next 1000x opportunity before BlackRock mainstreams this, before Trump mainstreams this, before every bank mainstreams this, buy islandproject.com. Again, I stress to you, we are so early in this tech innovation, and it's the number one thing that I'm good at. I don't pretend to be good at everything, but I am best in the world, bar none, in technological investments, in technological trends. I have personally dominated in everything I've touched with tech. Dominated in social media starting in 2008 and 09 when no one believed in it. Made millions and millions of dollars. Dominated in e-commerce when people said you couldn't make any money at that. Dominated in Bitcoin when people said it was a scam and it would be banned by governments. Now it's owned by governments. Now it's being adopted, just like I said. And now dominating in the next 1000x, but this time having successfully democratized it to reward all of you tuning in, our amazing investors from all over the world in 12 nation states, including one of our latest onboards, Jose, who just came out from El Paso, Texas, with his first 30 units. Learn more about this, guys, but more importantly than that, deploy before it becomes obvious. Deploy your capital and roll your money from your retirement accounts and self-directed IRAs into real estate at islandproject.com before you can no longer do that. Do it now before Bitcoin's trading over 150K. Do it before BlackRock owns most of the Bitcoin. You do understand what I'm saying here. In order to get rich, in order to get ahead, you have to be looking forward 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years in advance like I do. To get the big gains, you've got to be early. I've always called it the early bird. I've taught all my courses for a decade now. We have, hundreds of thousands of members across Bitcoin Rich and Island Project Club. I've got, thousands of hours of educational broadcasts there as we've been teaching for years and years. But the secret to all of that is not just knowledge, but it is action before everybody else. So that's where I see things are headed. I do believe that we're going to have some major events as I feel that spiritually things are really amiss right now. One thing that has me concerned is Warren Buffett is trashing all of his US stocks and selling all of them. He has sold 55% of his Apple stock, and I think could sell more. And he just dumped near $1 billion in Bank of America bellwether banking stock. That tells me that Warren Buffett, a deep state insider, is preparing for a collapse. And again, these guys always sell ahead of you. We saw this before the lockdowns in 2020. The criminal bankster elite sold all their stocks before they locked you in your house. That way they could protect all their money and then buy on the cheap later. They might be doing the same thing again in the crypto space. I don't know. They might be doing the same thing again with stocks. I mean, why else would Warren Buffett be selling all of his Apple? I mean, think about Apple. Apple's like the #1 driving company in the world. Why would you take profits in the company Jim Cramer says don't trade, just never sell? You're Warren Buffett. You're a deep state asset. You're a part of the cabal. You get unlimited bailouts from Barack Obama in 2008-09 for your companies like Goldman Sachs and American Express. Like, he's only selling because he's dumping the hot potato to the American public. And these people are not to be trusted. They are truly your enemy. I have always told you the truth about Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain, real estate, true ownership. I have always told you the truth about what I believe is going to happen next. And the big takeaway, I was even speaking with our investors in Singapore, which we have numerous, and I was telling them, and they understand this because they have international exposure, but I said, most Americans, what's going to happen is in the next few years, everything that I've said will become mainstream and it'll turn obvious. And like everybody's hesitation from the previous years will be gone at that point. They'll see that this new system has already been built without them. And this is what I'm telling you. The rest of the world is moving on without you. You have two options in the United States of America, and this is me being very truthful, and I promote peace. But you have two options. One, revolution, 1776. If you are unwilling to do that, you have no other option but to build new arcs, build new solutions for you and your family for peace, prosperity, Americana, and capitalism, and to create hope in a legacy and to save the things that you like about freedom, liberty in the United States. And unless, and I would never discount the American people, but again, we saw a lot of people comply in 2020. We saw a lot of people do nothing. They couldn't even say no. I mean, it was that difficult for them. So what's the likelihood of that first option? It's not high, guys, because America's already had their opportunity. So I'm closing with that today, but this is massive, massive news. You know what to do. I tell you what to do passionately every single day. This is my life's work. Onboard to islandproject.com before all this goes mainstream. Deploy your first 30, 50, 100, 50, 250, 500, 1,000 units or more now. Click the link below at islandproject.com or call or text my dad at 808-442-2934. Do it before the banks close. Do it before the stock market crash. Do it before these wars escalate. Do it before the 66 days, 6-6 is up for the US election. Do it now. You're going to thank me a couple years from now. You're going to be like, General, thank God. Thank God I took your orders. And by the way, some of my Singapore investors I just met with, beautiful people, I had tea with them, had a little jasmine tea and mint tea with them. And they said, Christopher, our son's been following you for 15 years. And I guess he made a lot of money in crypto and Bitcoin, and he's a tech guy. And he basically told his parents that you have to get into islandproject.com. Don't miss the next 1000X. And so that's why they onboarded. Because we have millions of people that have been tuning into me for years, and they've seen I've been right about everything. I'm not saying I'm good about I'm the expert in everything, but in tech I am. In crypto, blockchain, real estate, tokenized real estate, and real world assets, we're the expert. My team is the expert. So don't miss it. Again, so many of you, and I'll close with this, have told me, I wish I would have taken your advice and bought Bitcoin years ago, but I didn't. Okay, well, take my advice now. Do what I'm telling you now. Don't miss it. If you miss the first opportunity, don't miss the next one. So hesitation in life will make you broke and poor. Overthinking means you won't get the girl. Thinking too hard about something and not starting your business means you're always broke. Winners take the shot. So I'm ordering you now to take the shot and become part of something beautiful that is not just dominating, but is changing the world. And by the way, I love being the underdog. I love being underestimated. I love going toe to toe with a multi-trillion-dollar corporation like BlackRock because I know I'm going to beat their ass. And the reason is I got Jesus on my side and nobody can defeat him. And this is what you must understand about our project and what we're doing. God has ordained islandproject.com. So when I come with a passion and a vengeance and you see what pours out of my heart on a daily basis, that confidence, that's where it comes from. It comes with knowing that we're kicking the crap out of the deep state cabal, that we're so good, all glory to God, and we're so early that now all the rest of the world's gonna follow what we've already built along with you. So kick some major butt along with us and our team now by executing and clicking the link below on your first 30 units. You can fund right now. All you have to do is go to our website, islandproject.com, fill out the members tab, boom, we accept crypto. Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Jesus Coin, the list goes on and on. ACH, wire transfer, credit, debit card. If you have any questions rolling over your IRAs, we have preferred partners like Preferred Trust and Equity Trust that my father can help you with. It's a very easy process. Just like you can self-direct your IRA and gold, do it with real estate, something that actually produces cash flows. I'm a big fan of gold, but you should own both. So on board now and realize Trump's made the major announcement. Who's going to become the president of the United States? It's likely Trump. And frankly, I don't even think if it matters. Even if Trump doesn't get in, I believe that crypto adoption can't be stopped. I believe Kamala will still be pushing forward with crypto adoption, probably not as strongly as Trump, but my point is, this is the future of money, technology, innovation, success, ownership, and the list goes on and on. So look at it. I mean, just take a look at this article. Trump making the United States of America the crypto capital of the planet, having now launched his own plans for tokenizing not just the financial infrastructure in the United States, which I think is fantastic, but also real estate and real world assets. I told you this was going to happen. I told you Trump's made all of his money in real estate. He's a smart guy. He would figure it out as soon enough. I mean, I figured it out long before he did, of course, because in this space, I'm smarter. I'm sure there's a lot of things he's smarter than I'm at. But in this space of tech, I'm just light years ahead of him. But I told you years ago that eventually Trump would not only endorse Bitcoin, he would mainline it, and he would eventually get into tokenizing real world assets. And again, we're the ones that are going to profit from it 1000x because we're the first people to do it. So I just want you to understand that hardcore truth, that the first mover always gets rich. And by onboarding islandproject.com, you're the first mover in your 1000x. Just a 30x on the blockchain launch of 30 units, 30K, will make you a millionaire. And I can't guarantee that. I can't guarantee future returns. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, I have to say that, but it's what I fully intend. And at the very least, you have an outperforming multi-$100 million portfolio that you can actually use, that you get paid income and capital gains with, even minus tokenization. You can't lose. And I notice this when I have conversations with my members, investors, and people even interested in the project, that when I have a conversation, that's much more easy to explain it because they always ask me questions or have an objection about something, and then I explain it and they go, oh, I didn't know that. Wait, so what's the downside? I'm like, there is none. When you buy Island Project, you basically buy a no bank debt asset that you own with liquidity in the future, with all the capital gains of appreciation and income, even minus the tokenization. The tokenization is like me just giving you a hot fudge sundae because I'm cool and I'm going to make you a millionaire. And people ask me, why would you do that for free? Why are you going to make me a millionaire, Chris? Why would you give all that away? Like, how are you making money? I'm not. Our company only makes money, honestly, if we make you money. We only make money if we collect gross rents. We only make money if we have capital gains. We only make money if we pull off our tokenization. Read our docs. We have not made any money. And I really, honestly, I'm just being very truthful. My father and I have made no money on Island Project. We have deployed tens of millions of dollars of my own capital to make you rich. Because I know with a guarantee that not only are we defeating Goliath, that we are in the biggest technological invention of our times, and it's my life's mission. My life's mission is not just to spread truth through the media and technology, but to change the world so you become powerful through the Lord and through amazing works and through your effort and dedication and our organization of our community. And then I want you to go change the world, and I want you to tell all your friends about it. That's honestly why I do what I do. That is my primary driver. And I can truthfully say that from the respect that if you're not passionate about something more than the finances, you'll never last. You'll quit and you'll back down. And people ask me all the time, Christopher, I've noticed, I got a nice testimonial yesterday, like, I've seen you go through hellfire, Chris. I've seen you go through obstacles and trial and tribulation and the death of your brother and all these things, and I've always seen you rise. Where is that power coming from? It's not coming from me. It comes from God. And so my light is to show you you have his power. All of you have the light of Christ. I love you all. On board now. Click the link below. Links I'll put up here. We will never contact you on Telegram, Instant Messenger, or WhatsApp. You can only invest at islandproject.com or by talking with my father direct. God bless. On board now, and I'll read your names out on the next video from beautiful Tokyo, Japan. It's an honor.